Realms of Ancient War is a top-down action RPG hack and slash with a ridiculously generic fantasy name and couch co-op campaign. Basically, it's a good time, and it's exactly what my roommate and I wanted. Though I'd challenge anyone watching right now to name a single realm, fictional or otherwise, which hasn't hosted an Ancient War. Let's get the narrative out of the way first. The story here is particularly tone-deaf and accidentally humorous. Your characters tear their way through the entire continent, slaughtering thousands of people, sometimes right in front of civilians, without ever stopping to breathe or show any real remorse. You're rarely provided a good reason to be doing this, and everyone still acts like you're a hero in the end, no matter how many war crimes you commit, or how morally ambiguous the blood you spill is. It's as though the writers saw the concept of ludonarrative dissonance and thought, hey, that's a neat feature, let's make our game about that. The overall concept for the setting and plot isn't bad, but it's tackled in a stupendously doltish fashion. Goofy storytelling tropes aside, the core gameplay is pretty solid. You have your fighter, mage, and rogue classes, each balanced for different specialties. The fighter can rush in and maul enemies up close with his sweeping attacks and high durability, while the mage can obliterate mobs from a distance with his powerful magic, and the rogue is a jack of all trades. The different skills and weapons you can acquire come with immediately noticeable benefits and trade-offs, and the combat is generally a good split of skill and RPG elements. Generally. Most of the time you're encouraged to thoughtfully maneuver around your enemies, space your skill usage just right, and carefully consider your surroundings before charging into the next fight. Button mashing will get you slaughtered. It's not perfect balance, though. By the end game, I was so ridiculously overpowered that I could mash the basic attack button to solo the entire final boss without ever dropping below 80% health. Yikes. To make matters worse, the enemies are brain dead, to say the least. They're as simple as mobs can get. They walk toward you, and when they're within range, they attack. That's it. It doesn't matter if you catch them on fire, cut them to ribbons, drop meteors on them, they're incapable of doing anything besides blindly marching to their deaths. And the way they move is far from natural. It's one thing for certain beasts to behave this way, but you kill so many human and human equivalent analogs, it also makes the game far easier that all your opposition is so daft. On the other hand, the looting is meticulously well balanced. There are plenty of action RPGs where the loot drops and crafting and shopkeepers are tangled up in a senseless mess where one or more of them ends up entirely useless. Not in Realms of Ancient War, though. Here, you find a plethora of loot from chests and enemies, some good, some far worse than what you already have, and managing your inventory so you keep the best stuff to sell shopkeepers is essential to affording the most precious and powerful items. If you're judicious enough in your looting and gold spending, the game well rewards you with tomes to elementally infuse your weapons, legendary gear, and some okayish gear to equip while you wait until you're the appropriate level to equip said legendary gear. It all works. A good 15% of the game time was spent exchanging items and choosing equipment with my roommate, because it actually mattered. I do have a few nitpicks in other areas still, like the way capturing large enemies feels like a wasted mechanic, or how the bosses are easily cheesed, or how the levels end abruptly with no indication or consistency. But overall, it's an average title in its genre with gorgeous environments, a laughable story, solid combat, and an even more solid loot system. If you're willing to overlook some jank, it's a good time, and it reminded me of all those hours spent on Champions of Norath many moons ago.